Welcome to Stat 200. I'll be your instructor, Brian James. I teach full-time at the Pennsylvania College of Technology, which is an affiliate of Penn State. Taught math and science, physics specifically, for the last 27 years. Most of my schedule is statistics, and teaching online is something I've done for 10 or 12 years as part of my typical workload. I really enjoy teaching Stat 200 for Penn State, and I think the course is very doable for a student. It's set up very logically by the Penn State design staff and the director of Stat 200. So I think if you follow through here, you'll do quite well. Here's the homepage for our course, and what you see here is the announcements that I place up here. They'll always be posted, the latest 3, but you can see all of them by going to the announcements page. The actual communication in this course is done through announcements almost always. Once in a while an email if it's a one-on-one matter, but for the most part it is done through these announcements or the discussion boards. Also on this homepage you will see the basic information about myself, course introductory video link, which is what you're hopefully watching at the moment, and then down below is an updated feed of when Penn State offers the live learning tutoring schedule. And this is a great resource to use, conducted by the TAs, so you can get lots of different help at different times throughout the week, and it's always updated here at the bottom of our homepage. So that's something you'll definitely want to use. Let's see. Let's go to the syllabus page. Syllabus page has the PDF of both the schedule week by week and the course syllabus, which you'll want to read through. Remember, that is a contract between the student and the instructor, so you definitely want to read that so that you know how things are done and all the procedures in the course. Okay, that's a pretty important issue, obviously, and maybe I'll be back to that in a little bit with you. The modules are the heart and soul of the course. This is where everything occurs weekly, and this is where I think the design side of it by the Penn State team is incredible. Again, I am the instructor for the content, but the actual setup, most of this, not all of it, but most of this is done by the learning design team, and they follow great procedures and make it very accessible to students. So this lesson 0 orientation is where you would start, and every week we have this to-do list. And if you follow that to-do list weekly, you can't go wrong. If you ever find a link that is broken or doesn't go to where you think it should go, let me know, and I'll certainly look into that very quickly. But you can see if you just follow down through here, you'll be in great shape each and every week. And all these lessons, lesson 0 is just orientation, so it doesn't really get included other than just setting you up for success. But you can see if something is required, it will say required by it typically, and there will be some points associated, so you want to make sure you do that. And then lesson 1 would be for week 1. Again, having a to-do list, and if you follow right down through there, you'll be in great shape. Now, some features each week, just about every week. We have a discussion board. You definitely want to ask questions via the discussion board. Other students can chime in, I can answer, we all get feedback, so that's definitely something I encourage. And we have actually an introductory discussion board to start, so you want to make sure you introduce yourself to the course so there's some sense of community. Readings each week, online notes. Probably the best feature in my opinion of this course is the online notes created by Penn State. Each and every week we have the online notes for what is the specific content in our course, and additionally we have a lot of videos embedded to help you use the technology and to apply the technology. I'll say this again in the course, but it is very unlikely that you're ever asked to do anything on a lab or a quiz assessment without it being documented quite well somewhere in these online notes. So I would highly recommend that. The video lecture feature is something that's relatively new to the course. This is actually Dr. Zimmerman's. She's the director, Dr. Whitney Zimmerman of Stat 200, and she's been gracious enough over the last few years to, or semesters I guess, to embed her video lectures. So if you're a person who learns more from like the classroom style, not just reading, but you want to hear and see some demonstrations, these are optional for you to to take place in. The e-textbook would be the link out to the lockbook. So that's nice. Each one of these modules has the specific content linked to the text. Worked examples, so if you want to see an old lab and how some of the procedures were done, that's here. And then we have the Wiley Plus, and I'll have Wiley Plus, lesson 1, the actual assignment here soon. But you'll be able to click in there and do your homework on Wiley Plus. And then the quiz, there's one each week just about, and you can take it twice, and the higher score counts. Just good pedagogy would say to try the quiz, and whatever you miss, go back and review, and then come back and do it again. It's very obvious to me when a student just looks at a quiz just to get prompts, maybe only gets a 2 out of 15, and then 3 minutes later logs right back into the quiz for the second attempt. I don't think that's the way you should attempt these things. These are always due on Tuesday nights. So maybe if you could try it on a Monday or a Sunday, and then get some feedback and review, and then finish it up for hopefully more points in the second attempt. Lab assignments are where you go out and actually practice the skills you've learned with Minitab Express and StatKey. You're going to use software there to reinforce the skills, and also use some software that is industry standard. Again, these are due on Tuesday nights. The students who spread that out and started earlier will certainly benefit, I think. These optimally would be done before the quiz, because these are still part of the learning process. So again, I'll talk about what I would think a typical schedule should be as we go here. Examity is our proctoring service. This is an online proctoring service that Penn State has been using for, I think, almost 2 full years now. It works great. There's no options. You are proctored on the 2 or 3 major exams, and just really helps with the online accountability and integrity, which is, I think, what every adult learner should want, is a level playing field. So you definitely want to go through this process and see what that's about if you haven't used it before. Okay, and I'll talk plenty more about that through announcements. But then it just goes week by week, lesson 2 all the way down, and at some point here you'll see a midterm show up, midterm exam 1, so that would be the first time that we actually use Examity to take that. And again, we'll practice it before that. We'll get a feeling for what Examity is like before we actually do midterm exam 1. And then we'll go through some more weekly lessons of the standard format. We'll have midterm 2. So by then you're somewhere into late October, or in the spring you're into probably late March. And then we'll finish with just a couple more lessons, 2 to be specific, and then the final exam. Okay, I'll populate this Wiley Plus with some additional features as the course moves on. So the modules are very important. Discussions, as I said, that will be an important part each week, where we can hopefully interact with each other. Some of these have requirements, not all of them, in fact not most of them, but the introductions, we give you a few points so that everybody gets an opportunity to learn about you and your major and your life. And then down here in Lab 2, you're going to have to post to get points before you can move on, as we learn what's called an equation editor in Canvas, so that we can communicate with the mathematical notation. And then the typical gradebook, which you've already been using in Canvas courses. Alright, so I don't think there is anything else feature-wise that I'd like to show you there. Just remember, you want to have the announcements turned on so that is pushed to you. Alright, and you can read about how to do that if you haven't done that already in the past in a Canvas course. Alright, my general thought about the course: I think it's very, very well done. I think Penn State spent a lot of time and resources to perform a great design, and something that is very accessible and hopefully very beneficial to students. The thing that I think is the biggest online when I teach for students is you've got to stay on schedule. So, and I know that's hard with, we all have life circumstances and life obligations, but everything in this course is basically due on Tuesday nights by midnight. So if you can discipline yourself to start the next lesson on Wednesday, the latest Thursday, and certainly get to the online notes first is my thing. I think you read the online notes first. You start doing the homework as you do that, and as needed, you complement that with the e-textbook and certainly the video lectures if you want. But the online notes would be my suggestion on Wednesday, Thursday, maybe into Friday. And then the next thing that you would want to attempt after you start integrating the homework is move on into the lab. And you can learn a lot about the lab and the software output. Some of the software output is actually tested in these assessments. So you will see Minitab output, lots and lots of it, in fact, in these assessments. You won't have to use Minitab or StatKey during a quiz generally, once in a great while. But for the most part, what you'll be doing is you'll be reading the output and then interpreting. So if you do the labs first, before the quizzes, you'll be better off. So now, in my opinion, you're into Friday, Saturday, even into Sunday, you're starting to do the lab and think about taking the first attempt of the quiz. And then on Tuesday, you have the chance to wrap it all up with submission of the lab and taking the second attempt of the quiz as needed. Okay. I'm available to you through the discussion board, certainly. If it's more of a private issue, certainly through the Canvas email. And I can also set up Zoom sessions, so you can see that in the syllabus when you go through that there is an opportunity for you to ask me to reach out to you in a Zoom session, and I will gladly do that. All the late policies, all those types of things are in the syllabus when you read that. Basically, the idea is some of the overviews. You can't be late on a quiz or a test. All right, those are well defined for security reasons. The labs, every day that you're late is a direct 20-point reduction. So even if it's due Tuesday night at midnight, if you wait till Wednesday at noon and you submit that, and somebody else submits it Wednesday at 6 o'clock, it's still the same deduction. It's a full 20 points by policy. So somebody who waits till Thursday is getting 40 points right off the top. So it just really doesn't make sense in my mind unless there's some sort of life circumstance to be late on those. You don't want to lose those kind of points. Other than that, I don't have a whole lot other to say other than I know that many students have been successful in this. This is offered to over 500 students most semesters. And I see great numbers as far as success rates go. And you can see over here, I clicked on this for you, the quizzes are 15% of the course, Wiley plus homework's 15%, the labs are 20%, the midterm exams are 30%, and then the final exam is 20%. So these midterms are 15 each, okay, for a total of 100. So take your time, get started in that lesson 0 and lesson 1, and if you have any questions, certainly let me know. Thank you very much, and I'm here to help.